have it. We have our four nations that have made it through to the Euro 2024 semi-finals. Which of those four will make it to the absolute final? We're going to get into it, all of it, next. That's right, folks, back once again with another video. Today we're taking a look at the semi-finals of Euro 2024 as we look forward to some banging games. That's right, four countries, two matches, which of course are the two nations will make it through to that final. We'll get into it in a minute. If you're new, where you been? Smash your subscribe and your one-stop shop for Euro 2024 is right here under one rooski. We said goodbye to my boys Germany. They crumbled under the Spanish pressure. We said goodbye to Cristiano Ronaldo and of course Portugal, and we also say goodbye to the likes of Switzerland and Turkey, who gave real good efforts, but ultimately were beaten to the punch to crumble at the last eight. But of course, we have four winners, and we'll take a look at them in a second. If you know where you've been, smash the subscribe, and a big shout out to the VIPs. They are the patrons, of course. You know who you are. But anyway, let's of course take a look back at, of course, those quarterfinals. That's right. Before we jump into those semi-finals, we are talking about this, which is of course the Euro 2024. And let's, of course, turn the clock back to, of course, these quarterfinals right here, right now on the screen. Of course, first and foremost, these are my picks. Your picks are in the Super Brew. We will bring you a Super Brew update for the final. So just keep doing what you're doing, and then we'll bring you bang up to date for the final one. We'll kind of round up the competition. We'll go back in the groups, look at the whole bracket, all that kind of stuff for the final. But this is, of course, for the semi. So here it is, a recap of my picks on the left-hand side. I went with a 3-2 in for the Germans. I went with my heart, not my head. And ultimately, the Spanish came on out lastminute.com, 2-1 win to save us from penalties. Meanwhile, we did go to penalties in the other game. It was La France coming out on top, 0-0 on the night. Penalties was the call of order. The French came out on top. Out with a 2-1 win for the Portuguese. Got that wrong. So I actually pretty did bad on my semi-final picks, but my quarterfinal picks. But I'm gonna make it up for you in the semis. Meanwhile, the Dutch. I went with the Dutch in the prediction show. That's right. Got a 2-1 win. Guess what, folks? Got that one spot on the nose. So goodbye, Turkey. You were so close. To be honest with you, I think you might have even edged it performance-wise. But the Dutch are rising and peaking at the right time. And they will take on England, who came through a penalty shootout of their own. I went with the 1-1 scoreline. It was a 1-1 scoreline, but ultimately I backed the wrong horse. I backed Swiss, but the English came out on top. Against their traditional form. Usually they crumble under penalty pressure, but today they got it right. So again, put all those in the calculator, in the Super Brew predictor to predict flux capacitor, and of course we have our own prediction league. Of course, make sure you check that out. All right, let's start at the top of the bracket there. Remind ourselves how we got to this point. We, of course, saw Spain edge past Georgia. The Germans, of course, got themselves past the Danes. Meanwhile, further down the bracket, Portugal took care of business against Slovenia, with the French edging, of course, at Belgium. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Dutch did get past Romania, with the Turkish, with that crazy result against Austria. England, of course, got past Slovakia, a very tricky match, and the Swiss were very good against the Italians. Then we had our quarterfinals, which we just wrapped up with you right here. And now Spain getting a 1 over Germany, Portugal going out to the hands of the French, the Dutch nudging out the Turkish, and England on penalties taking out the Swiss. Now we have got our semi-finals to, of course, get into the mix ahead. So let's start with the first one. It is, of course, Spain. It is France. And we're going to take a look at it right here, right now. Of course, they are going to be locking horns very soon at the Allianz Stadium over in Munich. It will be Spain with De La Fuente in the dugout up against France with Didier Deschamps in the dugout. Now, these two sides have played each other 14 times since 1984. 5 wins for the Spanish, 7 wins for the French. There's been 2 draws, according to my eyes. Spain, 100% form for them at the moment. 6 wins on the bounce. Up against the French, 75% form for them right now. Unbeaten in the last 6 matches. Now, they have played each other most recently, back in October 2021. The French coming out on top with a Nations League victory. That's right. The last time Spain were victorious was back in March 2017. 2-0 win it was. And that was in a friendly. Now, of course, Spain's run-in so far has included a result against Croatia, 3-0 win. They also took care of business against Italy and also Albania in the group stages. After that, the 4-1 win over Georgia and a 2-1 extra time win over Hot Shots Germany and hosts. As for the French, their resume has included a 1-0 win over Austria, a 0-0 draw against the Dutch. Of course, we could see that game in the final one more time, and then a 1-1 draw against Poland. Following on from that, they did take on Belgium, 1-0 winners there, and of course, a penalty shootout victory against the Portuguese. Now, quick look at the bookies' odds on this one. The bookies have 31-20 for your Spain, 9-4 is your France, 90-10 is, of course, the draw. The bookies currently have Spain 2-1 favourites, 11-4 is the French second favourites as of the moment. But what about me on this one? Well, I was hoping that it was going to be the Germans going the distance, and I have been impressed by the Spanish since the get-go. The French really have not clicked into gear, but they do have the players to cause some problems. But I'm going to go with football on style, on paper, what we've seen, the evidence that's put upon us, and that is a 2-1 win for the Spanish to go through to the final. Next up, of course, we go on to the other side of the bracket, and it's hot off the press. It will be the Dutch up against England, that's right. Now, this match will take place, of course, on the 10th of July at the BVB Stadium over in Dortmund. The Dutch, managed by Ronald Koeman, of course, up against England and Gareth Southgate. Now, these two nations have played each other 10 times since 1988. 4 wins for the Dutch, 2 wins for England, and there's been 4 draws between the two sides. 75% form for the Dutch at the moment, just 1 defeat in the last 6, as England, though, coming into this on 67% form for them, beating the last 5. Now, these two nations did last play back in June 2019. It was a Nations League semi-final, and Dutch came out on top with a 3-1 win. England's last victory over the Dutch was back in March 2018. It was a 1-0 win. It was a friendly, but of course, they boast a pretty poor record against the Dutch, losing 3 of the last 4. The Dutch coming into this on the back of a 2-1 win over Poland, a 0-0 draw against the French, and a 3-2 loss against Austria. They follow that up with a 3-0 win over Romania, and fresh off the bat, a 2-1 win over Turkey. As for England, they're coming into this on the back of a 1-0 win over Serbia, a draw against the Danes, 1-1. They also drew against Slovenia, 0-0. A 2-1 extra time win over Slovakia, and a penalty shootout victory against the Swiss. England not really delivered at this tournament, but have they saved their best till the very end, or towards the back end here, when they take on the Dutch? Well, the bookies, I don't really have the bookies on the game itself. It's still hot off the press, but England are third favourites now at 5-2, with the Dutch at 5-1. What about me then, guys? What about me? Well, my gut says back the English. If I'm going to be a betting man, or I've got to go for it, I will back the English. However, I'd love to see the Dutch go through to take on the Spanish, in my eyes, for what will be a cracking final. Regardless, I think we are up for a cracking final, whether it's the Spanish, the French, the Dutch, or the English. We've got 4 classic nations here duking it out for Europeans' top honour. So ultimately, we're in for a good ride, whatever it is. But I am going to go against my heart here and go my head. And I think England will get the better of the victory here with a 2-0 win against the Dutch at the Dortmund Stadium. That's my pick, guys. And don't forget, we do have a prediction league. It is wide open, live. Make sure you get in amongst it, get predicting, and of course, get ready for a cracking final. That's it, guys. Make sure you smash the like, smash the subscribe. Your one-stop shop for Rovers. Euro 2024 is right here under one Brewski. We'll be back for the final, whoever shows up for the final, whether it's England, Spain, France, or the Dutch. We'll be here, you'll be there, but until then, we are done.